Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys my Runick Spright deck profile. This is actually the deck that I ran a few weeks ago back at the YCS Minneapolis. However, I did not do a profile on it. I didn't do as good as I was hoping to at that event, but now I've really labbed it a lot. I even went to locals last night, and I even changed up a few other things since then. And overall, I'm just really liking how the deck looks now, and just sort of have been taking in everything from the YCS and at locals and in testing, and just sort of trying everything out and finding all of like the ways to better out the deck. So really, I do think that this is like the best way to possibly play this deck. So anyways, let's get on into the profile. And if you guys are just new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoy the video, and then also smash that like button again if you guys enjoy this one. This is a really fun deck to play. It's pretty darn competitive in the meta, but overall, the Ishizu tier cards and Fluanderies are definitely like some of the hardest matchups for this deck. But anyways, we're going to be running 3 copies of Spright Blue. Really no explanation there, but this is going to get you into your monsters. Then we have 3 copies of Spright Jet to be able to get you into your spells. Some people are kind of cutting Jet to 2 cards. Overall, you possibly could do that. I was trying to sort of see if there's anything else I wanted to put into the deck, but overall, I just really like having the 3 Jet, just so you get that extra special summon, and so that you get to get into your spell and trap cards, which is just pretty crucial to the deck. Then we have our 1 copy of Red, 1 copy of Carrot, and please don't leave the video, but we are playing the 1 copy of Pixies yet. This is a new addition, just because there have been a lot of interactions where you guys will find yourselves playing this deck, and it'll be on your turn. You don't really have any viable targets in case your opponent, like, maybe if your opponent hit you with some hand traps and stuff and disrupted your board, and you weren't able to set up like Iperia or something in your graveyard, and then you just end up going for like a Spright Elf to bring back blue or something like that, and then like you're just like, okay, so I use blue or whatever, or you have like a Spright starter on the field. Spright starter, that's probably a more realistic scenario. You have Spright starter and your opponent is going into the battle phase or something, and then like you just wish you had Pixies. Overall, it's just really nice to have this card to be able to stop those battles, and sometimes you do still just need to go into the battle phase to win. There have been duels where I've sat on Mech Knight Avermax for a while, and then like I just sort of sit on a bunch of the Runick cards and I just don't go into my battle phase, and then by my next battle phase I can go back in and swing for the game, and just having that Pixies there is nice. And then also he's just another extender, so that's why we're playing the Pixies in this build. Then we're going on into 3 copies of Lava Golem. This card is just also so nice just for a little bit of extra spot removal and to possibly deal your opponent a little bit of burn damage. Overall, the burn damage doesn't usually do too much or get you very far, but it is still nice. Then 1 copy of Iperia, 1 copy of Capshell, and then 1 copy of Soul Scissors. So I am playing the Soul Scissors instead of the Wind Up Kitten. Mainly it is a nice different like budget option, but overall just being able to use this as kind of like a battle fader. During the battle phase, your opponent attacks, destroys one of your monsters. This guy comes back from the graveyard, and then you have this card to special summon, and then he'll pop another monster on the field. And then if your opponent has another attack, so they have like a 3rd monster on the field, then you're able to suck up another attack if you put him in defense position. So overall, it is pretty nice to bring him out. He can sort of absorb 2 attacks for you and get spot removal, so it is kind of nice for that reason. Just the 1 copy of Iperia, because I just never have found myself searching for that 2nd copy, so this is another change. The Iperia came out to put in that copy of the Pixies, so overall, I just really think that having the 1 Iperia, generally you're going to be sending Iperia to the graveyard with your Spright, oh my gosh, why can't I, your Sprind. So you're going to be sending to the graveyard for your Sprind, and then you're going to be special summoning Capshell off of your Gigantic. That's generally how your play is going to go. So the way that you want to do that, then then overall you just really don't need that 2nd Iperia. Because, you just get the draw, and then this is going to be in your graveyard. You can keep bringing it back with Elf. So overall, I've just never found myself needing that extra Iperia when I'm, and like when you're drawing and stuff, it is kind of nice to top deck, but overall, just way better to play other stuff, more names and stuff. So then we're going to get on into 3 copies of Spright Starter. Starter also needs basically no explanation, just to be able to get a free body. Then 1 copy of Smashers. That's going to do it for the Spright spells. Then getting on into 2 copies of Runick Fountain. You definitely want to just play this at 2. That is the proper ratio in my opinion. Just because if your opponent hits you with Cosmic Cyclone or something and gets rid of your first Fountain, you always have that backup option. Then getting on into 3 copies of Tip. Tip you definitely want to max out on just because it always feels like so great when you draw this because, I mean, you just get to get into a free card and it gets you a free mill 1 basically, so that's just always super duper nice. Then we're getting on into 3 copies of Freezing Curses. This is probably my favorite of the Runick cards just because it's so nice to be able to get that negate on one of your opponent's monsters and still get a mill 3, so it's just super duper good. Basically an imperm for the deck, just gotta love it. Then we're gonna get on into 3 copies of Flashing Fire to destroy special summon monsters, and then 3 copies of Destruction. This is probably my second favorite because this card destroys spells and traps, so always feels good to blow up a field spell or something, and then being able to mill 4 is just so good. Then we're gonna go on into 3 copies of Runick Slumber. Slumber is also just super good. It just doesn't seem that good on paper, but the reason why you want to play 3 Slumber is because you can do this when you're building your board on your turn. If you're going first and your opponent has not gone yet, you can just use this. You know, you can use like the Destruction to special summon your Hugin from the extra deck, get into your field spell, and then later in the turn you just use Slumber to target one of your own monsters, and then you're going to be able to do the whole recycle thing with your Fountain, which is super good. 1 copy of Dispelling. This card is also kind of cool. It's really nice when your opponent searches for something specific and you can just knock it right back out of their hand. 1 copy of Smithing Storm, 1 copy of Called by the Grave, just so our hand traps, or our opponent's hand traps don't go through. You definitely want to hit your opponent's Ash Blossoms and stuff if they're hitting your Hugin for your Fountain, or if they're just going to hit your Fountain Resolution. And then we are playing the 1 copy of Double Cross. Double Cross is also just super duper good in here, just to be able to bring back one of your cards from the graveyard, or to just steal one of your opponent's cards. Just super duper nice. I definitely like having this. You know, because we are playing like IP Masquerena and stuff in the extra deck, so if you can always bring back stuff like your IP or a elf from the graveyard, whatever it is, Double Cross is just super duper good. So that's going to do it for the 40 card main deck. I wasn't sure what else I wanted to cut, but I was considering 1 copy of Pot of Desires, just for like that extra nice top deck, but overall there's just not a great spot, and you are playing a lot of like one-ofs, so overall you just don't want to get rid of those. So that is the other card that I was like considering to get rid of for one of these Spright Jets, but whatever. We're going to move on to the extra deck now. So we are playing 2 copies of Hugin. A lot of people like playing 3, but overall 2 Hugin is definitely going to get you into what you need, which is generally going to be getting your field spell. You're not going to be hurting for level 2s too often because all of your other cards are 2s. So if you have the Hugin right away to get your stuff going, then on turn 2, 3, whatever it is, you can generally have another 2 on the field to be able to like special your sprites and stuff from hand. So, and then go into like your Link and XZ plays. So overall 2 Hugin is generally enough. Then we're going to go on into 1 copy of Jerry just because he's nice. To be able to get back your field spell and stuff, and just for a little bit of extra spot removal. And then 1 copy of Frecky. Frecky actually does come up quite a bit because he can mill your opponent for 2 if he gets attacked, or if he attacks. You're not going to take battle damage from attacks involving him. And then also he allows you to get back one of your quick play spells from the graveyard when he gets destroyed, so that is just super duper nice. Then going on into the XZs, 2 copies of Gigantic Spright. Sometimes I honestly wish I had 3 copies, but there's just no room. Definitely 2 is going to be enough most of the time. Then going on into 1 copy of Onibimaru Soul Sweeper. Overall, this card does come up a lot. 1 copy of Mannequin Cat because overall this card is just nice. There's a lot of stuff that you can slap into the side deck just for like ways that you can just sort of fill this thing out. So I'm not going to show you guys the entire side deck for this video just because it's not super duper complete, but we have Thunder King Ryo, Testudo, Erat Newman, you have your Red Resonator, which can come out. You also have like Chaos Hunter is just another nice option of a card to just sort of slap around in case it does come up. Your opponent goes into darks and stuff and you just need to get this guy out. And then it can just stop banishing. This card is just so nice against Flunderies, or else you can just wait until something goes down, and if you don't use up your normal summon, you can always just side this in, and then if you draw it, and then you can just normal summon this, by tributing off like 2 of your sprites or whatever it is on the field. So just overall, these cards I would really highly recommend for your side deck and stuff. Otherwise, Mannequin Cat can still come up with stuff in your main deck, being able to get you into like a a red, or be able to just get you straight on into get you into the Spright blue and all that other stuff. Then we're going to move on into our 2 copies of Spright Elf. A lot of people like playing 3 copies of Elf, but I'll just sort of show you my reasoning for why I am only playing the 2. But overall, this card being able to bring stuff back from the graveyard is super duper good. 1 copy of Spright Sprind. You got to be playing Sprind nowadays, especially with having the Iperia. Like I mentioned, you have Iperia and Capshell. So basically, the play that I always do is I use Sprind to send Iperia to grave, and then I use the Gigantic to bring the Capshell to the field, and then I link away the Capshell to be able to go into my Spright Elf, and then Spright Elf can bring back the Iperia, and bam, just like that, you draw 2 cards off the top of your deck, and then later you'll be able to draw 5 when you activate your Runick Fountain, so that's really, really nice, or just however many you get off on your first turn. Then my replacement for playing 3 copies of Elf is 1 copy of Dark. The reason for this is because a lot of people nowadays are playing the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. So I actually got hit by it last night at locals against Fluanderies. So overall, it's just really nice. If your opponent hits your Elf or whatever it's going to be hitting, generally a lot of people are playing Elf nowadays. It's getting splashed into a ton of extra decks. So having the Dark in there as an extra option rather than 3 Elves, in my opinion, is really good. So just having this is just going to be a nice extra option. And then you always have your, like I was saying, you always have your Spright your double cross, wherever the heck that is. Oh my gosh, there it is. We have the double cross, which if you just go into Dark, you can use Dark to bring back a Dark monster from grave, and then you always have the Spright double cross. As long as you have like a Link monster, you can bring back one of your monsters from your graveyard to a zone that a Link monster points to, and then you can bring back your Spright Elf. Spright Elf can then bring back something else from the graveyard, and then you're just sort of off from the race, off to the races again. 1 copy of IP Masquerena, and then for our targets, we have Unicorn and the Mech Knight Crusader Avermax. So Avermax, being able to sit on him for a long time is also just super duper good. Overall, my biggest consideration was if I wanted to play the Dark and the 3 Elf, or if instead of like playing the 3 Elf, if I were to play the Djinn Buster, because my original build had like 2 Elf and Djinn Buster, but then I ultimately took out the Djinn Buster for the Dark. Mainly the reason for this is because you can generally get enough negates going on with having your red and your carrot, and then you have your freezing curses, and then enough disruption with your other cards. So overall, you just don't need the Djinn Buster, and Djinn Buster is a lot more specific, where he needs 2 dark monsters. So really your only ways to get that is with your Capshell, and then your Jet and your Blue. And then so overall with that, just having the Dark being able to pair with your double cross just seemed a little better than just getting out the Djinn Buster, because Djinn Buster also needs to detach 2 for his monster negate. And the negate also does not destroy, it just does burn damage. So having this out of the extra deck and having the Dark in just felt a lot better. So thank you guys again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all of the explanation, because there just seemed like a lot of different interesting choices that have come up as of late that I just wanted to just sort of explain, see why, and explain what the reasoning is for me doing those substitutions, changing things out. Overall, this build just seems a lot better than what I was playing at the YCS and whatnot. So just sort of wanted to give you guys the explanations on that. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And again, I just hope you guys enjoyed the profile, and we'll see you guys for the next profile. Peace.